And until we prove that we are ready to make sacrifices, we should not consider ourselves to be entitled to inherit the country.
I will lay down my life.
They should be convicted in a lawful trial. They should be lined up against the wall.
This clip of conservative host Stu Peters. Listen to the violence that is being promoted by the far right in this country. Then I want to compare it with other clips from right-wing Christians who, when you just paint the whole picture, folks, we really are living in the build-up and the ramp-up to even more violence. They want a civil war. Listen in.
I'm so tired of talking about it. It's time that we do something about it. And what that something looks like, I'm not sure. But I do know that there was a precedent, again, set by the people who liberated this country by making tremendous sacrifices, including their own blood and guts spilled all over the ground. I do know that there is a heart and a soul and a heartbeat of this country that was founded under God by Christians who made those sacrifices. And until we prove that we are ready to make sacrifices of equal proportion, we should not consider ourselves to be entitled to inherit the country that they liberated.
Yeah, that's right-wing host Stu Peters calling for violence in his thinly veiled way. There are a lot of right-wing Christians in this country working themselves into a frenzy to commit acts of violence, just like we saw in Jacksonville this past week. And here's the wild thing about this equal proportion. So he's talking about spilling their blood and guts on the fields of America. There's two parts of this. One, everyone should be at red alert because these people really do mean what they say. And if you understand how momentum builds, you always start with people on the fringes talking like this, and then it evolves from the fringes to the sanctuaries. Listen to this clip of evangelical pastor Kent Christmas, who has a mega church, using the same thinly veiled appeal for violence.
You want to know why the Muslim faith has had its advancements? It's because the Muslims were willing to die for their belief. They were willing to strap bombs to their chest. They believed in the afterlife. God, give us some men and women that'll get a hold of some passion in their spirit that says, I will lay down my life for the gospel.
Now, again, keep in mind also that he's not talking about Christians who are being persecuted because they aren't free to worship. The freest country in the world to worship whatever religion you want to worship is the United States of America. You can worship whatever you choose. So it's not as though he's saying these Christians are so oppressed they have to use violence to overthrow their oppressors. No, they are saying we want to control your life so badly that we should be willing to use violence. That's what Kent Christmas is saying that's the subtext of what he's saying. Stu Peters is literally saying what he said in this clip that I played for you, talking about spilling blood and guts on the fields of America. The Chiron, the lower third for that interview, was about Brian Kemp refusing to let the Georgia legislature investigate Fonnie Willis. And because Brian Kemp would not allow Fonnie Willis to be investigated, Stu Peters is like, we got to spill blood. Because Kent Christmas and other white evangelicals can't control what you do in your bedroom, they want to spill blood. Not because they are oppressed, but because they want to do the oppressing. And if you don't allow them to oppress you, they want to use violence. Oh, I've got the catalog. I have the receipts. I've been collecting these videos for years now. Here is Pastor Dillon of the Steadfast Baptist Church in Texas calling for the public execution of gay people.
These people should be put to death. Every single homosexual in our country should be charged with the crime, the abomination of homosexuality that they have. They should be convicted in a lawful trial. They should be sentenced with death. They should be lined up against the wall and shot in the back of the head. That's what God teaches.
This is what they're preaching in their churches. And so, of course, they feel comfortable enough to talk about it on their news broadcasts, on their independent news media. And so we should not be surprised when we see actual violence manifest from an ecosystem that includes express calls for murder. Like, they're literally preaching and teaching that you should be willing to bleed and die for this cause. What cause is it? Well, one way to describe it is the lost cause, right? Google that. And one way to describe it is the white replacement theory, right? There's any number of ways that you could understand this white grievance philosophy, but at the end of the day, we have to understand that it is expressly violent. And they want to use violence not to liberate themselves, because what part of their lives are constrained? What part of a white conservative man's life is constrained? The only thing that they are constrained from doing is controlling your life from birth to grave, from the what you do in a bathroom to what you do in a bedroom. And because they can't control you, they now want to actually kill people and have a civil war.